Hi, so I'm Heledd, Rothley Law, and today I am delighted to be joined by Lisa Haywood. Lisa, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us all about yourself?
Hi, I am the sole owner of Stutt Associates, which is a niche disputes firm in Cornwall. I'm quite unique in Cornwall in that there are no other dispute-only firms, and it's not been done before. So I am the first person who's actually opened up disputes only in Cornwall, and I've been going since November 2024. So I'm still a little infant company and still finding my feet really and learning as I go.
Oh, that's exciting. So your first year anniversary will be coming round.
It will be, yeah.
Oh, how exciting. So, okay, first question, excuse the ignorance. Why would having a disputes only firm be so unusual?
I think the market in Cornwall is quite unique in that it's dominated by a few really big players who everyone in Cornwall knows and everyone's very comfortable using because they're very well-known names. And a lot of them do have a litigation offering, but it's not normally something that they tend to shout about. So the litigation team is sort of ancillary to the other services that are offered by the firm, which are predominantly normally conveyancing or family, possibly criminal as well. So I was in one of those firms, and everything was very much done in the way that they needed it for the transactional stuff. And I didn't really feel that that fitted very well with litigation because we could market very differently, we could offer our services very differently, and we didn't necessarily have to jump through all of the hoops that everyone else did. So having the ability to be a niche firm and focus on disputes, it gives me the ability to say, well, actually, I don't need all of this guff around the edges because I don't do transactional stuff and I don't have quite so many obligations in place. I'm SRA regulated, so I have to follow the SRA's rules. But because it's disputes, I have a little bit more license in terms of marketing and how I sell things, really.
Okay, well, that's exciting. I know I do resonate because sort of having trained in North Wales, and it's a similar sort of thing, isn't it? It's like you have these firms that have grown up out of a traditional private practice, which is you are the solicitor who does stuff, and to have litigation as a an offering is something that people tended to do. Well, I'll do alongside something else. And so yeah, I'm quite intrigued that it's geographically it's a similar sort of setup down in Cornwall. So and general litigation as well. I think that's why I'm also quite intrigued because again, I think we're probably all encouraged to think that people are going to do property litigation, personal injury, commercial litigation, and it's like, well, actually, where do you draw the line? And I don't think you do you?
I don't, and I never have. My first firm, which I trained with, was mostly litigation. It did have ancillary services as well. So there was a partner who dealt with the conveyancing, one who dealt with the wills and probate, and one who dealt with sort of commercial stuff. But then the litigation team was the biggest. And that was what the firm really shouted about. And because that department was so big and it was so unusual to have such a big department in Cornwall, we could pretty much take on any case. And it allowed you when you were training to pretty much learn everything. And it was brilliant. It was such a good grounding. And I never really found one area that I loved more than another. So I didn't want to niche down. I didn't want to become pigeonholed as the person just for this. So I've kept my options open and I am very happy to take on anything and keep it as varied as possible because there are so many different areas of litigation that are exciting. And I like the challenge.
Excellent. Who doesn't like a challenge? So, are you? And this is where I sort of sit there again because I'm I say a bit like you. I'm a slightly odd person in that I come from a private client background, but I do shouty private client, so I like to call it, which is, I will get, so I'll do the sort of wills, tax, trust planning, and that's nice and civilized. We can sit down and have a nice chat and, do that. But then it bleeds into having a barney with the NHS or the local authority about the way sort of care fees have been assessed or not assessed, as the case may be, and then court protection work, which can be quite, it's court work, but can be quite procedural. But as I was explaining before we started this, I've had this August, when I was hoping to have a slightly quiet time, I've had 4 contested court protection hearings, 4 very different ones. And so I sort of do litigation, but I draw the line at the white book. I say no to the white book. There are people for that.
Oh, I love the white book. It's my Bible.
There you go. Oh, you're a white book gal.
Definitely. I love it. I mean, I'm partial to Sealy as well, so a bit of insolvency is fine too. But
Oh.
no, I do like my white book, and I'm quite precious about it. I don't like people messing up my little tabs, so I'm quite happy now. I've got my own copy that no one else can touch.
And you have got a paper copy.
I
You're not
have.
doing it online.
I've got
You old
both.
school.
I've got
You got
both.
both.
I'm quite a dinosaur when it comes to books. I love the feel of a book. I love the smell of a book. Getting a new book is just heavenly for me. And I don't use a Kindle or any other kind of e-reader. I love the physical weight of a book. So you will not you will not get me away from the physical white book. I just love it so heavy.
And I mean, I can't see here, but I've got bookcase behind me of all my law books, all my law stuff that I still like. I'm still gonna rummage, gonna rummage through because I don't know. Still, whilst fabulous sort of online and what have you, sometimes I'm like, no, I need to just dip in and out and cross refer, and and I think probably it's that sort of crossover stage, isn't it? So where you go, well, I've done both as in my career, and sometimes having a book is nice. So what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite type of general litigation, or are you finding that in your sort of brand new shiny firm that you are getting a really mixed bag of stuff, and you're just like, yeah, great, let's do that.
I wish I was. It's quite a lot of property work at the moment. There seems to be a proliferation of people who want to take out injunctions. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
something in the water.
I don't know. One day I had 3 inquiries in a row about septic tanks being interfered with, so that there may well be. Who knows?
Quite
Uh,
literally, I suppose if you've got septic tank issues.
yes. You don't like them being messed with. But it's funny because property disputes tend to come hand in hand with harassment. And so the anti-harassment injunctions, property injunctions tend to be my bread and butter.
Yeah,
And, I jokingly say, I'm the injunction queen, but it's it's quite difficult to find someone who's really hungry for an injunction because it really is a, high pressure. It's a proper pressure cooker, drop everything and deal with it, isn't it?
yeah.
But I love it.
So Cornwall being, a large tract of land, how are you finding being a litigator with actual courts? I mean, what's the sort of access to justice piece done as being, sort of how is that operating? Are you finding the courts are closing, or have you got decent
We
accessibility?
have a main county court. And when I first started up my firm, we were still at the stage where we could phone the court. We actually had people at the court we could speak to. I know.
Oh my God, those are the days.
It was amazing. But a couple of months ago, I can't remember how many, a few months ago, we have now reverted to the national helpline. So, yeah, 2 hours on hold to pay a court fee or chase an application, which you're only allowed to do after 20 weeks or however long it takes for them to do it, which gets extended again and again and again. Yeah, it's frustrating. The courts are so overwhelmed at the moment, and it's difficult to sell to a client, this is the route you should be taking, when in the same breath you're having to say to them, but I can't guarantee you a deadline. I can't tell you how long it will take this week. It's challenging.
It is challenging, and I think it is incredibly hard to think that you're saying to clients, well, this is the remedy that's available to you, but it is exhausting, it is time consuming, it is going to be expensive, and once you're in the hands of the court, you're in the hands of the court. Some said once, litigation's like dancing with a gorilla. You stop when the gorilla stops. And even when you've done all that sort of preamble and they still go, no, this is absolutely the right thing to do, and you go, great, you've got a case, let's go for it. How utterly exhausting it can be when you're wading through treacle of, as you say, a system that is pretty broken
Yeah.
and underfunded. And, and I say I've spent, not only have I had full court hearings, I've actually had in-person court hearings. Yeah, and I'm like, I've gone to the court buildings, and you're like, they are incredibly run down. They are incredibly sort of, I mean, you see clients sitting there, they're going, is this a court? Is this just, yeah, no, yeah,
No, I have
not the
had
Old Bailey.
experience. I know it's not quite the same. There are no cells here. It's not as exciting. It's not picturesque, I'm afraid. This ain't no RCJ. We when I had my first hearing, we had to take me out and actually buy a suit because I hadn't been to court for literally years. Because when I was at my last role, I didn't go back after maternity leave, and I spent a little bit of time um, doing a bit of mummying at home while I was sort of getting over and then starting up this firm. And during that time, the courts weren't really open and everything was all remote. And we thought, brilliant, we're all going in the right direction. We're going to have remote hearings and you can instruct
Yeah,
anyone you want in the country. And everyone was really panicking. Oh my goodness, we're going to lose out on work because someone's going to find another firm that's much cheaper up country and they'll be able to use them for their work and they'll be able to justify it. And then they're going to have to get rid of all the guideline rates because it's going to be the same everywhere. And then the court decided to just take a few steps back and say, nah, everyone, it's like a return to office mandate. Let's all go back to court. And we're all
yay!
suddenly again buying suits and little court shoes and
I
rocking up
know,
our papers.
I
What
know. I had
happened?
to do this, and I was like, oh, I've had to like get proper like court wear.
A whole rail of like shirts and
Yeah.
the little shoes that they make you wear. And I had a colleague once who had knee-high boots and she wasn't heard. She wasn't allowed to be heard. So
Mm.
you've got to have your actual courtwear. And I wear denim and stuff that a judge wouldn't like very much if I turned up in court.
No, no,
So yeah, but it's only for the occasional hearing.
I
It
know.
just it
I
just
know.
it seems really strange.
It is, isn't it? So you mentioned maternity leave. I think we'd be remiss not to mention your wonderful brood
Over children, yeah.
and chickens.
Chickens as well, you're right, yeah. Yeah, we have a bit of a menagerie. We have humans, yeah, smaller humans. Yeah, we do have a dog which is probably the largest dachshund you've ever met in your life. He was sold to me as a miniature.
Ah,
He's not a miniature. He's
ah.
17 kilos and approximately the size of a horse.
Ooh.
Hates humans, barks at everyone. No, we have fish and chickens, and yeah, our house is it doesn't stop. No one wants to live very close to us. The noise is probably overwhelming. So
But
luckily we're detached.
yeah. But on a more serious note, I think you mentioned maternity leave, and you got quite a range of children, haven't you? And it's like, and being a working parent and doing litigation where the deadlines are, they're dictated by somebody else. How have you found that with sort of, with the flexibility of having your own firm?
Yeah, it's flexibility is something that I wanted from day one, and it swings both ways. Clients, obviously, for them, a litigation matter is absolutely, the biggest thing on their mind. It plays on their mind. So they will want to contact me when convenient for them. And I'm happy to do that. They know that if they send me an email in the evening, I'm going to get back to them because I'm probably plugging milk bottles into people's mouths or rocking them or, just patting backs to get little people to sleep. And it doesn't really bother me to spend 10 minutes just saying, look, I'll set your mind at rest. This is what you need to know.
Yeah.
But working around the school runs and especially 4 o'clock deadlines.
Oh,
So
lovely.
you want to do something to disrupt me? Give me a 4 o'clock deadline because
Yeah.
school finishes at 3:20. Hey, so it's something I have to think about a little bit more than I did before when I was at home and I could just say, right, it's time now to go down to school. Now I have to say, okay, is there someone who's going to go and do the school run? Are we covering all of the bases that we need to with 3 in different year groups and nursery and preschool? It's a lot, but it it actually works because I can say, I haven't got a deadline today. I'll go and see that play that they want me to go and see, or I'll go pick them up and we'll go to the park and have an ice cream or go down to the beach. So it works for me.
It's brilliant. And I think, then I think obviously we've sort of met via LinkedIn, which I think we'll need to talk about a little bit. And I've loved your stories of your sort of going out with your kids and your hedgehog ice cream trips. And I think surely this is what it should be like. Surely this is, we talk about pandemic, it's, 5 years ago. My God, it's astonishing, isn't it? And what change has accelerated, what change has reverted, and I think that sort of humanity of actually, yeah, I know we might be sort of solicitors and lawyers and litigators, but we are human and we do have stuff going on.
Yeah.
um yeah, so let's talk about LinkedIn. Let's talk about that sort of what's that's been like for you, joining the sort of ranks of those of us who just sort of randomly ramble out there about things that in our heads and
Random is the right word, I think. Yeah, no, I never used LinkedIn. I was one of those people who had one of those cheesy profile pictures that was straight from the firm website and just said, I'm a lawyer and this is what I do. It's standard stuff that you
yeah,
you you think you should do. When, 10 years ago, LinkedIn was kind of somewhere where you went to recruit someone, or you just went to connect with people who you might have known before. And no one tended in my sphere to do anything else with it. It wasn't useful for anything else. And we weren't encouraged to use it. I think probably there was some kind of skepticism over if someone was using it, is it because they don't want their job anymore and they're actually trying to get another job? I don't know whether there was an element of that.
virtual
But,
Rolodex.
well, exactly. Fancy employing me. No, I don't. I'm not sure. But when I started my firm and was thinking about how do I reach the people that I want to have as clients in the future, and it made sense because a lot of my work is targeted towards commercial stuff or people who will have a property that they want to protect and won't necessarily be someone who uses an insurance to pursue that work. So it's a lot of work that I'd need, a certain demographic to
Okay.
fit. So I looked at LinkedIn while I was setting up, and I saw this sort of wave going on, a kind of uprising of people who are actually putting out some content that's really interesting and really engaging. And I hadn't seen that before because I'd never really opened it and taken the time to look.
Okay.
And I found that fascinating. And I thought, you know what? I love that idea. Why can't I do something similar myself? And so I started sort of tracking some really great accounts from people with fascinating content, really smart people, legal stuff, but really funny. And I thought, lawyers don't do this. What's going on here?
Lawyers
This is
haven't got what's
bizarre.
a sense of humor.
I know. What on earth? Human lawyers? Aren't we just robots? But it was really great. And I thought, I'd like to see what I could do in the same sort of vein. Not copying in any way, looking at how other people are using the platform to show their story and to bring their voice out and show their whole personality. And I loved it. I thought I can try. My first posts were awful. They were really awful. They were proper lawyer. If you asked a lawyer to write a post and you didn't show them they were aiming for, it was that. So yeah, don't ever trawl back through and try and find my first post. They were dreadful. And I'm like, zero engagement. No one cares.
Yeah.
But it's developed, I think, from there. Being able to find points of reference, things that people actually recognize in themselves as well. It's nice to be able to track my first year as well, because
Yeah.
it ain't a picnic. I'm not
What do
saying
you
it to
mean? It should just be just straightforward. I mean, you just you're doing everything. Doing
multiple
it
parties.
swimmingly.
No, I'm not. I love the idea of actually being able to find a place where I fit, because I'm not the same as firms locally. There's not really anyone else I know who's quite so audacious and in your face and, all guns blazing. Spending my whole life being told you're a bit too
Oh
much,
yeah, join the club.
I wanted to find somewhere that actually I could kind of slot in and, you know, blend into the background like Homer in the Hedge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you just realise that's no point, is there? You sit there and go, I'm not, doing that because we first met at a LinkedIn event,
Yeah,
and I mean, I've always said, anybody knows about this. I said, A, the energy in those rooms is astonishing,
it
and
really is.
B, it's the outliers, weirdos, and mavericks from other firms all getting in the room together, going, I'm not the only one. And I'm beginning to get to the stage. I'm going, right, it's like having a virtual law firm. It's great, particularly if like you and I, working in niche areas. Yeah, because all we do is private client work. So if it's out of that remit, I'm like, I might be a family lawyer, I need a conveyancer, general litigation, because I think possibly being a private client lawyer is the start of, bit like we are saying, there's sort of old Cornish firms and sort of Welsh firms. Is like your lawyer did a bit of everything. I always think the private client was a bit like, well, you should know everything. So I kind of got to the stage where I need to know people who can do stuff. And so I think it's brilliant. I think it's fantastic to go, great. I don't really mind where you are, as long as your client's not happy to go anything from sort of, Newcastle to Penzance. It doesn't matter, does it? And I think, knowing that you're out there doing stuff, sorry, no intended, Stutt Associates, whatever the names you get called.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah,
Stuck frontal.
stuff. I'm really not going to call my law firm stuff, all right? But like with what you're offering, it's fantastic because you go actually to find a generalist, and I mean that in the nicest possible sense. Somebody who's not going, well, all I do is specifically arguments about cranes and air rights. It's niche. To actually go, yeah, I can be doing, anything from, you say, boundary disputes to injunctions to whatever in between. Because these things never fit in boxes. People don't fit in boxes. People's problems don't fit in boxes, do they?
No, and I love the fact that actually I I got something different out of LinkedIn than what I expected. What I found was the community of lawyers who are prepared to be collaborative and who are prepared to grow their network with other professionals who can complement their offering. I wasn't expecting that. I was
No.
expecting to be sort of shouting into a void where no one cared, and I didn't really get any thing fed back to me. But actually, what I found are a load of great lawyers who, if something's out of my area, I can say to them, I think this is more you. I think you'd be a really great fit for the client. And that's a more rounded service than I ever expected to be able to give. I'm
Yes.
never happier than being able to say to someone, I know they'll do a great job for you. And I know actually you'll really gel.
Yes. And actually,
That,
at this point, I should probably do a shout out to Site Marshall from TBD Marketing, who has brought this group together and is curating us and collecting us up, and it is amazing to have that sort of pace going. Actually, because one of the worst things we all hate is going, I can't help you.
yeah.
I go, I can't help you, but I know somebody who can. Is so powerful.
Yeah, and it's also a great business development tool all round, because you're helping to make sure that that client has really received the best possible service you can give. And what's better than that for the warm fuzzies? But also, you're able to say to other people, look, I know exactly what you do, and I'm happy to help you here, rather than, no, you're a competitor. Sorry, I can't talk to you. I'm not going to be your friend, which, law was. It was
It was,
not so long ago.
and still is in some quarters, and that's fine.
Maybe. And if that works for you, then that's fine, because
Yeah.
there are some really great law firms. There really are. And there is so much work out there that a client doesn't have to say, well, I'm just going to go to this firm because my friend used that firm and she got an all right service. So I'll just use them because my friend's heard of them. What they can actually do now is say, I'm going to find someone who I know I can work really well with and I can trust, and we have a synergy that would mean I can just give that work to this person and know that I'm in a really good pair of hands. I won't have to check up on them. I'll be contacted when I need to be. They'll do what I'm asking and they will understand what I need. And I love that. And that freedom that I've got now to be able to say, I will work with these people and I will give them that service. It's brilliant. And I couldn't have asked for more than that.
And it's really nice, isn't it? And I think it is a huge shift for those who want to do it. So liberating. And, there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people who don't want to do it. And I go, that's fine. I don't need to talk to you because actually I'm going to go with this group who all, if we're all solicitors, we're all regulated by the SRA. We're all very aware of our limitations and what we can and can't do. We're all, and it's like, oh, I'm going to get, sanctioned or SRA investigations or ombudsman or this, that, the other. And you go, well, you read all these sort of SRA requirements and you go, actually, dabbling, no thanks. Recognize it, recognize what you need to do with it. So I'm going to give it to somebody who's good and competent. And actually, that's exactly what we should be doing as solicitors. Yeah. Not going, well, just because I'm a solicitor, I'll have a go.
I'll have a go. Or no, I don't. It wouldn't work for me. I wouldn't feel confident enough in saying to someone, I can do that for you if actually I knew that it was outside of my area. And I have had to say to people throughout my career, it's not something I've got enough knowledge. I can't add value here. I think I have to put it that strongly. I just that you might as well use Google because I literally can't help you with that. And I love the fact that I've now got that network, and I can say, look, I know you've come to me because you think I can deal with this dispute. I can't, but I would like to make sure that there's a good fit with somebody else rather than saying to you, no, sorry, bye.
Thank you and good night.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And that's, there's so much time spent doing, and I have yet to find anything straightforward come across my desk. Somebody goes, oh, just a quick question. Yes, quick question, long answer. Oh, it's not very complicated. Yes, it is because you're very complicated. And I always say people go, "Oh, I just want a basic will." I go, "Right, okay, tell me about your family." And I've got 16 ex-wives, all these children, and nurses abroad. And I'm like, "Well, you might want a simple will. It's not going to suit you, though." And it's the same thing. It's like, "Oh, it's fine. It's just a quick boundary dispute. Not a problem. My names are clearly
I,
wrong."
I, I just need you to tell me where the line of my boundary is my
Oh,
favorite.
yeah, nice, nice. I
I've
remember
looked at
as a
my land
trainee.
registry plan. It's here, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah, no, I remember when I was a trainee, two boundary disputes I was involved with. Or one was recently qualified. One was back in the days when for some reason some sort of insurance company paid out for the litigation, so off we'd all go to court, and clients turned up with Tesco bags full of hornbeam trunks, and I was like, judge isn't going to be interested. It's not evidence. Just demonstrates it's my hedge. It's like I don't think no.
Okay.
Mildly curious, but they were clutching their hornbeam in their Tesco's bag for grim death. And the other one,
Brilliant.
I know, and the other one, we ended up with land registry adjudication in the end. It was classic, unregistered land, photocopied, and the lines got thicker and
Oh,
thicker and thicker and
yes.
thicker. And it got so thick at the point it was impossible to tell who owned the gate that took the field to the lane, and they were like, "Oh, but this land's been registered first, so they've got it." We're like, "No, it's actually our land." And it was like, "Oh, Honestly, the joys.
Was it a piece of land about a foot wide that was worth about 10 pence?
Yep. 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 It was just marvelous. You
Mm.
go, please, for the love of this, all So maybe it's something to teach your children. You don't have to colour in lines very neatly and within the lines. That's white. Excellent life skills for becoming a lawyer. Very precise red lines.
Yeah, Sharpies are banned in our house. There's a reason for that. Those fine line pens are good. Those are fine. So
Yeah.
I said, I'd never be a conveyancer. I can't draw a line straight. So how would I be drawing plans for things?
Yeah.
Now, it'd be awful. Hatched lines would just be an absolute abomination. No one wants that. Right.
So go on then. What's your favourite sort of, war story from your litigation days? We've all got one.
Oh, no, do you know what? I haven't had any real howlers. I've had the odd one, like you say to a client for the first time, this is a slam dunk. And you get to court and you find that your client director then is so argumentative and belligerent that the judge doesn't understand a word that he's saying. He doesn't believe him and says, "No, I'm fining for the other guy." Because you just can't possibly find a ruder person to have given evidence for you, which wasn't very much fun. I don't think I've had any real stinkers. I did argue once over a sky dish that was trespassing, and the complaint was that birds were sitting on it and pooing on the neighbour's car, which was interesting. Wasn't so much fun for the other party, I don't think, because there wasn't really an awful lot they could do about it.
No, but it's endlessly fascinating, isn't it? I mean, this job, people are great. People in their lives are great.
It's interesting how even the most reasonable, measured, calm person can, under enough stress and with the right provocation, actually find themselves unable to help themselves from saying or doing things that are desperately unhelpful to their cause.
Yes.
And you see it time and time again, don't you? You just think I've got to intervene here, and I've got
Yeah.
to. We have to talk about this, and I know I'd be the same if I were going all protective on something that was so important to me.
Yeah.
I think it would be all consuming for me as well, and so I completely get it. I can understand this is the most stressful thing you'll ever do in your life. And it's the hardest and it's the most protracted and it's the most frustrating thing that you can possibly do. And to boot, you get a massive cost bill. So it's not a
Yours
fun.
and sometimes somebody else's.
Exactly. It's not a fun thing. I get it. I'm a human. I understand the human
Yeah.
condition. I get
No,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely. How can people track you down? That's my final question to you.
They can find me on my website, which unfortunately, if you don't want to be bombarded with beautiful pictures of Cornwall, don't visit it. Okay, but no, it's stuttassociates.co.uk, and that's Stutt Stutt.
Very important. Very important. Yes. Lisa, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing more beautiful pictures of Cornwall and pictures of hedgehog ice cream and all the delights that Cornwall brings, in the coming months, including your first anniversary party.
Oh, there's an idea.
There you go. We can have a cupcake in a balloon.
Something with my face on.
Yeah, nice.
Send them out to people.
There you go. Perfect. Lovely to speak to you, and thank you for being on today.